Hello everyone, this is PalmMute for JoshuaCasper.com, and today we're having a look at the RZ062 AMB by Audified. The RZ062 is originally a hardware EQ by Klangfilm, which the guys at Audified have expertly crafted into a plugin for use inside our DAW. I'll go over it, how you can use it, and all the features that it has, so you know what you're getting into. First off, we'll start with just playing a track, and I'll have this on the master, and I'll tweak it, and I'll explain what it does. Let's go. First off, I'll just boost the top dial, which is for the high end. As you can hear, it boosts in a relatively pleasant way. It gets a little bit harsh, but overall it follows the Fletcher-Munchen curve, which allows you to use this EQ to bring a lot of loudness through EQ instead of compression, which will help you get generally louder mixes or be able to boost the presence in certain elements without messing up the dynamics too much. And the other way around, if you turn it down, it will almost give a low pass or distancing effect, but without actually getting the sweeping Q value kind of effect. And I'll demonstrate that to you right now. The same goes for lowering the bass. It will give a more abstract distancing effect, but it will still give the same kind of effect, but with the bass. As you can see, the bass will not disappear, will just get lowered. It's almost like a low shelf, but very, very sophisticated and actually very pleasant sounding, which helps you to be able to do all these kinds of effects without messing with too much EQs. Now, on the other hand, we have boosting the bass, which is the most interesting part of this plugin, because most of the time, because bass is very loud, it will get into the saturation section, and the saturation lights will brighten up and give you a bunch of saturation, which will result in your bass becoming very, very fat, and also at times even bringing distortion, which I'll demonstrate later on the bass bus alone, and it will sound very, very gnarly in a very cool way. So I'll just boost the bass and we'll go from there. We're not running into the saturation yet, but you can hear that the bass will get very, very fat. I'll just boost the input and lower the output again to get the same kind of effect of the saturation. Hopefully we'll get there without having to use any gain plugins before. There we go. You'll hear that it's clipping a tiny bit, so if you use this on individual bass buses, you might want to low pass a little bit or EQ sculpt it afterwards, but it's a very cool effect to be able to have this. And also in less extreme manners, it's also just a nice way to glue a drum bus together or spice up vocals a little bit to just give it that last 2 to 5% that it needs to just stick out. Now we'll just reset to the default real quick, and I'll explain to you how the mid section works. The mid section on the A version is sort of like a pivoting system where it boosts the highs and lowers the lows and vice versa, depending on which way you push the dial. So I'll demonstrate that to you real quick. You can hear the bass is very boosted and the highs are a little bit restrained. If I turn the other way around, it will boost the highs and take out the lows. Now on the RZ062B, it is actually the other way around. On the RZ062B, it is actually very, very different. Instead of a shift in highs and lows, there's a sort of focus that it shifts. And if we just dial it, you'll see that it goes all 360 degrees and it keeps going. It basically has a number that goes from 1 to 6 and 6 back to 0. And 0 means that it's very neutral. 6 will boost the 2K a little bit, and then 0 back down. And it will basically give like this low mid to high mid kind of feel. You can hear that it almost sounds a little bit hollow. It's a very subtle effect, but it can be used in a very nice way on leads, for example, to like bring out the nasal frequencies a little bit and bring it a little bit forward, along with like a gentle high boost, which will help it be a more the forefront of the mix. Now let's go to the bass bus, and I've prepared a little chain where I can easily boost very heavily in the RZ062A. And let's grab an EQ real quick so you can see what is happening. There we go. And I'll just bring up the bass frequencies, and we'll go from there, and I'll just see how far I can drive it to sound very, very interesting. Anyway, let's go. You can see that it's already saturating a little bit. Let's just boost the bass into it. Now let's turn on the limiter behind it so it doesn't get crazy, and then grab the utility in front of the plugin and then boost it a lot. Obviously this sounds very crazy, but if you EQ it afterwards a little bit, you can craft this very easily into basses which feel more into like the noise genre, or like more aggressive XXXTentacion style beats. Especially on 808s, this would be very, very good. And obviously I'm boosting way too much into it, so if we just chill this out a little bit and not boost the bass so crazy. Obviously you can see that I boosted the input a lot and reduced the output. And if you play it again and then turn it off, it gives a very nice aggressive edge to it. It is not the most like aggressive distortion plugin, but it helps you get that last 10% in your aggression, and it just sounds very, very good. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. This was PalmMute for JoshuaCasper.com, and I hope you have a great day.